What I'm going to do is briefly talk to you about the Children's Services National Performance and Information Management Group, to give us our full title, how we work together and with other organisations. So our place at the table. So the Children's Services National Performance Information Management Group is a network of children's services performance and information analysts based around the 9 regions. The regional chair and vice chair attend the national group, which meets 4 times a year. Its primary focus is children's social care, but most of us have broader roles, so bring that experience to the table as well. In fact, some of my colleagues cover adults as well as children. It's primarily a support group for the members, sharing issues and learning from each other, both at regional and national level. Several of the regions have set up subgroups to respond to specific needs. So in the Southeast, we've got a Ascend benchmarking group, and other regions have set up Power BI groups as well to share experience and best practice. As a result of the network, we can coordinate responses to questions from national organisations, sometimes at very short notice, a turnaround of hours rather than days, to get some information into a national organisation. This has resulted in us now having an important place at the table where national bodies want to change or do something with the data. We've developed relationships so we can have robust conversations about the impact of changes or new requests on frontline workers and analyst workloads, which is a key thing in supporting each other, that every time a new request comes out, our teams have to provide that data. So it's working with the national organisations to get the balance right on those. So examples recently where we've been helping with the discussion is obviously a COVID response. What to collect to let ministers know the impact of the lockdowns on the demand for children's services. We've talked with the DfE about changes to children in need and children looked after census, both what is being collected and how it is being given back to us, because we use the outputs, so we both give the data and we use the outputs for national, regional and statistical neighbour comparisons. We work with the Office for the Children's Commissioner about the Stability Index and have been working quite closely with their new childhood local data and risks and needs dashboard, which if you've not seen it, is worth Googling and having a look at. It's very good. And obviously we work with Ofsted, who have been very heavily involved with us through the years of the NPIMG on the Annex A and how performance data is used within inspection. Now, I can't talk about the NPIMG without talking about this little box down here on the left. It looks like an innocuous little thing, but before the NPIMG existed, there was the Children's Social Care Google group, which is a place where the performance and information analysts ask questions and share advice in real time. So if someone's got a problem, a specific problem about a specific item, they can use the Google group to work on the issues and get support and advice. We as the NPIMG have no need to develop a forum because that exists, but we also couldn't exist without it. So it's incredibly valuable to our work. The other box I want to point out is the Data to Insight project there. It's a product of the NPIMG. Some work was done a few years ago that developed some products that was beneficial to all of us. The NPIMG has been instrumental in getting funding to start the Data to Insight project, and Alistair Herbert and some colleagues will talk to you about that later. I'm now going to pass over to Colin Foster, who is the Chief Executive of Northamptonshire Children's Trust.
Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Alistair, for the introduction. And yes, I'm currently Chief Executive of Northampton Children's Trust, but previously I was Director of Children's Services. This role is very similar, and it's a role that I love. But I also admit that I am one of those people who drops an email or phones and says, can we just do data like this? Or do you mind just doing it like that? And in fact, I'd just like to mention Rachel Alcock, who's on the call, who I used to work with, who will know I do that. And indeed Becky Fiero, who's also on the call, which I did that today. So apologies, Becky. And as always, Becky came out with a lightning fast response, as I know the majority of people on the call do. So please do know it is appreciated, greatly appreciated. Because an effective children's service is based on 3 key elements. Outstanding practice, which improves outcomes for children, young people and families, and most importantly. Inspirational yet self-aware leadership, management and quality assurance. And 3, robust quantitative and qualitative data to prove what we do well. Without awesome performance information, the whole system fails. The importance of your role is beyond, well, it's fundamental. It wouldn't work without you. So the people in this room are essential to an effective children's services system. So thank you. I can't advocate enough for the National Performance Information and Management Group, and Alistair as an individual who's a wonderful person, very, very knowledgeable indeed. It's an incredibly strong network of professionals, as Alistair outlined. It's easily accessible. You can get really great professional support there. What I love is able to swing into action with any issues that happen. There's always an answer. There's always a way to address the issue or the problem. And above all, able to run a meaningful Annex A at the drop of a hat, which I certainly do appreciate. So just to give an example, early on in the pandemic that we're in at the moment, ministers were understandably keen to see data that reflected how children's services were performing. And as we know, an effective children's services system is judged by a number of indicators, which are often contextual and need narrative. There are regular REACT meetings with DfE specialists in education, children's social care and SEND, Ofsted and local leaders. And there was some pressure brought to bear in those meetings around the ad hoc data requests that were being received by local authorities. And I'm sure most people on the call remember that for the days in pre-summer last year, when there was kind of different requests and questions added and taken away. And I do have to mention Noor Ahmed, who's on the call as well from the DfE, because the team from DfE really took the time to listen and understand what the challenges were and what data teams were facing and children's services functions were facing too. And I was fortunate enough to work with the NPIMG alongside the DfE to create a more sensible data set, which could be Hello, can you still hear me? Yes, I think
yes, Colin, we can. Yeah, we can.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Just had a thing flash up to say, yeah. Oh, by the way, as with most DCS, is absolutely hopeless at technology too. So sorry about that. Yeah. So yeah, it was, and there was a discussion. I mentioned Noor Ahmed from DfE and colleagues really got around the table and discussed what was achievable, what wasn't achievable. So whilst the current iteration of the return arguably doesn't give the whole picture of a children's services system and is quite a challenge, it certainly makes a bit more sense than the original versions. And that was a real development piece that NPIMG led on along with the DfE, and I was fortunate enough to be able to support that process. Yeah, the quality of children's services system is judged by Ofsted, as we know, and it takes into account lots of qualitative factors, and the performance data really gives a rich narrative to that. So on behalf of all directors of children's services, ADCS, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone at NPIMG, and just thank you to everyone on the call, because what you do is truly appreciated. And I'd like to hand back to Alistair. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. I've now got control of my video, so I can put myself up so you can see me. Thank you, Colin. Yes, and I think it's the interaction we're exploring with the NCER about how the groups work together that is hopefully supporting DCSs and also enabling us to get better outcomes for children, young people and their families. So that's what we're about.